I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York.
I'm going to do a little short video on how to change out a P-trap under a sink. This is a vanity. Vanity really wouldn't matter if you had a kitchen sink without a garbage disposal over here. Then you're going to see basically the same thing. You might have a double sink where it ties into the main drain. But a lot of people are kind of afraid of plumbing. I have seen over the years people that have done their own plumbing where they put plumber's putty on here because it constantly leaks, or they put plumber's putty back here, or they put caulking up under here, or they put tape or they put a lot of different products to try and stop it from leaking, because you get a little drip going on and you're like, wow, there's so many connections, I don't know which one is leaking. So none of that stuff is needed. There should never be any caulking, there should never be any plumber's putty, there shouldn't be any tape, there shouldn't be any type of expandable foam or anything to have a watertight seal. When these pipes go in here, they all have these connectors. So all these connectors, and there's 4 of them. There's one in the back, there's one at the beginning of the P-trap, or at the end, if you will, and then at the beginning of the P-trap, and then of course there's one for the extension. This extension pipe you may not have. You may have this down right here. This is the main one coming from your sink, and you may just have it go straight into the P-trap, which normally is the case, and in this case we have an extension pipe. So I'm gonna kind of start from the very beginning, taking this apart. So this is a process that you would go through. You're gonna have some water inevitably coming out of here. So the reason I have this dog bowl here, I have a dog bowl. It doesn't really matter, but you need something to catch the excess water with. These are normally hand tight. There's no reason to really put channel locks or anything and you know, over tighten them, because they are plastic and they can break. So you don't want to do that. But if you loosen that one and then push it up, loosen the back one and push it up, this is where your water starts to come out. So a P-trap is always going to have water in it, and that is for gases. So now you would have gases coming out of here if you did not have a P-trap. That's the reason for that. So let me explain something real quick on here. All of these connectors on these male threads, all these connectors will go up and into this top nut right here, and this top nut has a flange. I can show you better than I can tell you. It has a tapered flange on the inside. This one is built into the nut, but some of them are free. In other words, well, that one's built in too. So you see the flange on it, and because it's a tapered flange, there becomes your seal. So if you have this actually connected on here, let me show you, then your seal is by virtue of that tapered part, and then all the nut does is tighten it down and make it watertight. It's that easy. So again, this is integrated. This particular one is integrated in, but sometimes they're free. And let me see if this one is. No, I think that one's integrated too. But anyway, so if it wasn't, you would have one little ring on here, and then you would have the nut itself, and then it wouldn't be a snug fit. And that, because that's integrated, I can't show you that one either. Maybe that one's not though. Here. I think this one is not integrated. Right, so that's not integrated. So that's what you're going to see is this part here that you saw, and the other part is integrated. So that would be the free one right there. And then same thing, it pushes down, makes a watertight seal, and the nut, all that does is tighten up on that part, and it does 2 things. It keeps the water in, but when you tighten it down, that ring I just showed you gets compressed down, and when it gets compressed down, it becomes a watertight seal. So the only thing you do after that is just reverse the process. It's very easy. When you have a P-trap, you have this longer part, and you see that it's extruded out a little bit, or it's kind of flanged out a little bit. That's because that's the part that goes into the pipe. The straight down spout is that part goes into there. That's why you have that. So your smaller end would go in the back. It always is that way. And so you just match the two, just like that. Match the two up. And then there's nothing more to do than turn these nuts. The front one and the back one. So the front one is finger tight. Put the back one finger tight. You do both of them finger tight first. And then after both of them are a good snug fit, and you would hand tighten. Make sure the back one is tight, make sure the front one is tight, and make sure this top one is tight. And once that's all tight, I can turn on the water and I can guarantee there's no leak. So the water's running right now, and there's not going to be a leak. And there's no caulking needed, and there's no plumber's putty needed. And there'll never be a drip of water. So you'll never have to have a pan catching your dripping water under your vanity ever again if you just follow that easy steps. Again, some people get very confused under a sink and they want to call a plumber because, you know, hey, my sink is leaking and it's coming from all of this piping. And, you know, if you want to spend $150 to $200 for a plumber to come out and do what I just did in the last 2 minutes, then by all means. But otherwise, you can do it yourself. You know, just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and, you know, pick up a bunch of these parts. Take what you have with you. If you have a break in the line or something, take what you have with you and just replace them just the way I showed you. It's a really easy process, and there's no reason a homeowner can't do all this stuff themselves. The water's still running, as you can see, there's no leak. And to test it, what you would do is go ahead and fill up the water, which is what I always do anytime I put in any type of new plumbing. Then I just fill the sink up, you know, probably about halfway or so, and then release the stopper, let the water run, make sure there's no leaks. Okay, no leaks, just as I said. One of the little tricks about finding a leak is actually putting newspaper down in your cabinet. Newspaper, even if you had a very small drop of water, you know, shows up pretty profoundly. So if you did have a leak and you put it and you had one drop, see how that drop expands out and it discolors? Well, actually 2 drops. So that's the easiest way to find out if you have a leak or not. So if you're kind of feeling antsy about, hey, you know, I followed the directions that Bob showed me on here, but I'm still not sure that it's leak proof, put some newspaper down here overnight, use the sink normally, and if you see any of these drops on your newspaper, that's a telltale sign that you did something wrong. I don't know what it could possibly be. This is really easy, but that's my take on changing out P-traps under sinks. This would apply to any sink, laundry sink, kitchen sink, vanity, anywhere you have a sink and a P-trap, this would apply.